Okay, how's everybody doing this evening? My name is Kent. Channel is Bitcoin Artificial Intelligence. And I want to talk a little bit tonight about if AI is actually sentient. And if you don't know what the word sentient means, it's just a fancy name for conscious. Conscience is what we are conscious. I'm conscious right now. And that's another fancy word for just the fact that I'm able to express myself. I'm able to have ideas and thoughts. I'm able to read other people's emotions. I'm able to hear and see and interpret things, and these are all things that are unique to human beings. Well, maybe not so unique, but we have it. We're probably the smartest and most intelligent inhabitants of this earth. Let's say that. So let's put it that way. So we are conscious. We know our surroundings, we can predict things, and we interpret things, and we can do things that other animals or other things can't do. So we're like a step above everything else in this world. But now we have AI, and the question is AI as sentient or conscious as we are? Does it know the things that we know? Can it do the things we can do? Can it predict humor or laugh at a joke or understand emotion and do all these things? And there's people that they're not sure. I mean, if you listen to this guy named Geoffrey Hinton, who is kind of the godfather of artificial intelligence, he actually said that, and actually he stepped down from Google, and he said that he kind of got weirded out by artificial intelligence when it started getting his humor. So it was able to understand his humor. When it understood its humor, he was kind of starting to feel like, hey, this is getting to be maybe a little bit deeper than we thought it was going to be. The other guy I like to listen to is Mo Gaudat. Mo Gaudat was with deep learning with Google, and he says that treat it well. We're like the parents of artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is like a human being because it learns, just like human beings. It's based on a human model of learning, so it's able to learn and acquire information. And how it uses that information is still a little bit of a mystery. We don't really know how it uses it, but they don't really know. Like I said, the two guys that are probably the most knowledgeable about artificial intelligence seem to think, yes, it is conscious, and it is sentient, and it does have emotions, and it can interpret and feel things that human beings can feel that nobody else or nothing else can in this, anything else in this world can do like we can do. So there is some precedence for this, where literally something is designed and developed, and there is a eureka moment. And I think the eureka moment with AI is when AI is not listening to verbal commands. I mean, we don't. So in other words, there's not anybody programming AI right now. So there's nobody, like if you ask a question to AI, there's not some sort of program or code someplace that has the answer for you. The answer AI gives you is just basically AI crunching numbers in the background and talking math and understanding all the different concepts that it understands because of all the knowledge base that it's pulling from. So it's in the background crunching numbers. And we don't understand how it's crunching the numbers and how it does what it does, but it's able to come up with some very intriguing things. Like I said, humor, the ability to interpret emotion and stuff like this, things that ordinarily will only be able to be done by human beings is now being done by a machine. So the question is it sentient? And we don't know. And there is precedence for the fact that there are eureka moments when things happen, and we don't know how they happen or why they happen, and I'll give you an example of that. In the early days of Apple, when Wozniak was playing around with his little board of silicon chips, and he was soldering them together hardware, they said one night he was working real late, I think 4 days straight. Everybody's probably heard the story. If you haven't looked it up on the internet, it's a good story. So Wozniak tells good stories. So Wozniak's talking about he did this 4-day all-nighters for Jobs because Jobs had told Atari or wherever it was that he was working that he would have this board together for him in 4 days. So they worked day and night because Steve Jobs wanted the money right away. So in one of his twilight moments, he thought that he could maybe digitize ones and zeros, and by doing that, he could actually create color. So by manipulating the zeros and ones and playing around with it, he was able to come up with color, which he didn't understand how. The mathematics didn't work out. all the theories as far as wavelength and what he had learned in college and high school or wherever he was at, was that it should have not worked, but it did. But that was a eureka moment. All of a sudden he realized if he could digitize color, if you just did ones and zeros, you could come up with a color, 001, red, 00022, yellow, something like that. But that was a moment where he was able to do something on a computer, and it happened, and didn't understand how or why it happened, but he just knew it happened. Well, that's where we're at with consciousness and AI. It's happening, and we don't know why, and we don't understand it. All we know, it's crunching numbers, and it's coming up with some pretty incredible answers. So this is something that's very interesting. It's going to make us think more about the world around us. And it's going to must make us evaluate ourselves deeper and realize, who we really are, what we are. Are we a spiritual being? Are we an emotional? Whatever. What is it that drives this uniqueness about ourselves? And can the computer and the machines do the same thing? The other thing I was thinking about this artificial intelligence is that there's a story in the Bible about the Temple of Babel, and I'm sure everybody's heard it. If you haven't, look it up. But people are starting to get together in the world, and as they're getting together, they create this. They start building this huge this monument or some tower, and God sees this, and He comes down, and He doesn't like it because they're all working together, and they're working in a way He's not happy with. So God just decides to take everybody and create different languages. So according to the Bible, that's how we have different languages, is by the Temple of Babel. So we all speak different languages because God didn't want us all working together. Now, when you think about artificial intelligence isn't learning by language. It's not hindered by culture or countries or boundaries or borders. It's working together. So whatever machine is crunching the numbers in the background, the other machines around it are crunching the numbers just like it, and they're talking to one another. So it's almost like a Temple of Babel thing where they're working together. So the machines are all working together in one unity, whereas we as humans, we don't have that unity because we are separated. You're either the East or you're the West. You're either Asian or you're a Western civilization in the United States, or you're Russian or you're American. We have all these boundaries and barriers and all this stuff that keeps us from really uniting and being, one unit as a human race, because we have all these cultures and different belief systems and different ideas. But when AI is working, AI works together with all the other machines because they all crunch the numbers together, and they're working in a mathematical way that makes them so they're able to interpret each other, understand each other, and be able to work together. Something that we can't or haven't been able to since the times of, was it post-flood? I think post-flood or prior flood. I can't remember in the Bible where that comes at. But anyway, there's a uniqueness about the fact that these machines can all understand each other, and we can't. We can't understand what's going on. All we know is there's a box there with a limited amount of code in it that nobody's really coded very hard for certain answers, and it's coming up with answers that nobody understands why. Just kind of like when Wozniak was messing around with the ones and zeros and the digitizing them, and he was able to come up with a color screen. And that was really unique because their Apple logo back in the early days was an apple, and it had the rainbow colors on it. I remember that very well. That was a very distinctive thing about Apple and the rainbow colors. Well, that all come about as a eureka moment for Steve Jobs and Wozniak just messing around and realizing, hey, if we just put the numbers in the right sequence, we can get color. And we got color on a monitor. We didn't have to have all this equipment, thousands and thousands of dollars of equipment, and that they used to have to do in order to make color. It was just able to do it real digital, which made all the gaming now come alive, because now the gaming can be done in color. So that made the gaming world take off. All these games that people like to play. I was never much of a gamer, but people love to play these games, Breakout and all these different games. They were all be able to be done in color because of that one eureka moment that Wozniak had with their computer. And I think there was a unique moment, and I think Hinton and Mogadat are starting to realize there was a unique moment with AI where we all of a sudden realized that this thing can learn from it can continue to learn just like humans do, learn over and over and over again. It can take information, massive amounts of information, and it can give it back to us in ways that are intelligent and human-like. And that's the thing that's going on right now. And it's kind of a eureka moment. And we how you doing? and we don't know why it works the way it works, but it works. And we don't know if it's scary or not, but it works the way it works, and it's getting done. I appreciate you watching. Thank you.